The message arrived on a quiet Sunday evening, just as the sky over rural Ohio turned the color of wet ash, and the house felt too large for one man living alone. It wasn't the words themselves that struck me, but the weight behind them, the kind that carries years of worry and hope in a single breath. I had built my life carefully after loss, stacking days like bricks to keep the past from collapsing in. Yet in that moment something I had buried stirred awake, and I knew the calm I relied on was about to change in ways I could not predict. Before the story pulls you further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that find ordinary people, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so these stories can keep reaching hearts. My name is Thomas Whitaker, and for most of my 43 years, I believed responsibility was the highest form of love. I ran a small contracting business outside Columbus, paid my bills on time, attended church regularly, and kept my promises even when no one was watching. 10 years earlier, I had buried my wife, Margaret, after a sudden illness, and with her went the easy laughter and reckless dreams of youth. Since then, life became a series of practical decisions, and I learned to carry loneliness like a tool belt, heavy but necessary. People assumed I chose solitude, but the truth was simpler. I feared starting something I might lose again. The message came from a woman named Ruth Caldwell, someone I knew only through community charity work. She had a daughter named Hannah, a name that always sounded gentle to me, like something you whispered before sleep. Hannah had been around the edges of town life for years, volunteering quietly, caring for her aging grandmother, never demanding attention. I'd noticed her kindness long before I noticed her presence, the way she stayed late to clean after church dinners or carried groceries for neighbors, without being asked. When Ruth reached out, it wasn't with desperation, but with an honesty that felt rare. She worried her daughter was fading into responsibility the way I once had, postponing joy until it felt unreachable. The next few days tested my resolve. I told myself I was misreading the situation, that it wasn't my place to invite change into my settled routine. Yet everywhere I went, reminders appeared. At work sites, I watched younger men rush through tasks, eager to get home, and wondered what it felt like to hurry towards someone again. At night, the house creaked with memories, and I realized silence had become my loudest companion. I prayed for clarity, not romance, just understanding, and what came instead was a quiet certainty that some doors open only when we stop guarding them. Hannah arrived on a crisp morning, the kind where breath turns visible and the world feels honest. There was no drama in her presence, no expectations spoken aloud. She carried herself with a calm strength shaped by years of caring for others, eyes steady, shoulders relaxed but tired. We spoke over coffee at the kitchen table, not about marriage or futures, but about work, faith, and the odd comfort found in routine. I sensed the same guardedness in her that lived in me, a shared history of choosing duty over desire. Over the following weeks, our meetings grew regular, marked by shared meals, volunteer work, and long walks through fields stripped bare by autumn. What surprised me most was how change arrived quietly. There were no grand declarations, only small moments that stitched themselves together. Hannah laughed once while helping me fix a fence, a sound that cut through the afternoon like sunlight through cloud. I found myself planning meals instead of reheating leftovers, listening more carefully during sermons, feeling present rather than merely responsible. Still, fear lingered. I worried that I was offering comfort rather than commitment, that I might be another. Safe harbor, she would eventually leave. The weight of my past loss pressed against every hopeful thought, reminding me how fragile joy could be. The turning point came during a community fundraiser held in a weathered barn on the edge of town. The space glowed with simple lights, and people gathered not for spectacle but for shared purpose. Watching Hannah move through the crowd, greeting everyone with genuine warmth, I understood something essential. Love, I realized, wasn't about protecting yourself from loss, but about honoring the courage it takes to try again. Responsibility had kept me alive, but it was never meant to keep me alone. That night, standing amid laughter and hymn echoes, the fear that once ruled me loosened its grip. As winter settled in, our lives intertwined naturally. We worked side by side on projects, supported each other through family obligations, and found comfort in shared faith. Hannah spoke often about her mother's worries, about the burden of being seen as someone who needed saving, rather than someone capable of choosing her own path. I saw in her not a problem to solve, but a partner who understood the value of patience. The house that once echoed with emptiness grew warmer, filled with conversation, shared prayers, and the soft rhythm of two people learning to trust. Near the end of that year, during a snowfall that transformed the world into quiet wonder, I understood that some blessings arrive disguised as responsibility. Inviting Hannah into my life had not erased my past but honored it, allowing loss to shape compassion rather than fear. If this story has touched your heart so far, if it has reminded you that healing can be slow and love can be gentle, please take a moment now to like and engage with this video. Your support helps stories like this reach others who may be standing at the edge of hope. The journey didn't end with certainty or perfection. It ended with commitment rooted in choice, faith, and shared purpose. Hannah. And I chose to build something steady, aware of the risks, yet willing to face them together. Ruth's message, once a simple concern, became the catalyst for a life reclaimed from quiet isolation. Before this story closes, I ask you to leave a comment sharing whether you believe second chances come when we least expect them. And as the final image fades, remember this. Sometimes love doesn't arrive as a sweeping romance, but as an invitation to open your door, trust again, and let another soul walk beside you into whatever tomorrow brings.